People have called Draymond Green a dirty player for a decade. 19 ejections, 6 suspensions, but it turns out he's had a mental illness this whole time. But thankfully, Dre was finally diagnosed by Dr. Yusuf Nurkic.
Personally, I feel like that brother needed help.
And help he is getting. Pretty soon, even enemies of Draymond were reaching out. Rudy Gobert said, "I have empathy for him. You see somebody that's not well inside and suffering, you take away the game and all of that. You just want somebody to be well and be happy." And if there was any doubt about Draymond's condition, the NBA itself is sending him to counseling. Woj tweeted, "Draymond, the Warriors GM and his agent, will meet to start discussing a path of counseling and help for Green to move forward." The league didn't want to put a specific number on the suspension to allow Green to take the time he might need to deal with the challenges he's facing. He has challenges. But leave it up to Shaquille O'Neal to be insensitive. An interviewer was talking to Shaq about Draymond's mental health, and he just cuts her off.
Maybe the indefinite suspension is the perfect opportunity for him
There's nothing wrong with Draymond. So y'all treating him like he's crazy. He's not crazy. He's been playing like this the whole time. The same way that got him 4 championships. Only mistake he made is he had his arms out like that.
What? How can Shaq be so heartless? He thinks it's not mental health? Shaq is just part of the old school NBA who aren't as enlightened as we are. See, Shaq was drafted 30 years ago when the league was a lot more physical. Every team had an enforcer. The most notorious was Bill Laimbeer of the Bad Boy Pistons. He once said, "My job is to make sure you don't mess with our guards," like All-Star Isaiah Thomas. He also got a mental edge on the other team's best player. Like in the '87 East Finals, Larry Bird, going up for a shot, slammed it down by Laimbeer. It led to a fight, but there were no ejections or technical fouls. Then in Game 5, Robert Parrish got revenge, punched Laimbeer in the face. Another famous example, Kevin McHale clotheslining Kurt Rambis in the '84 Finals. Kurt later said, "The funny thing about that is, I just go to the free throw line, shoot my 2 free throws, like no replay, no ejections, no fines, nothing. Just go back and play." Today, all those people would be in counseling right next to Draymond. It's a shame they never got properly diagnosed, but thank goodness for today's NBA. Oh, but it took a lot to finally get here. The NBA looked the other way on diagnosed mental illness for years. Dennis Rodman was also a dirty player like Draymond, but he had other signs of trouble. Not the hair or the wedding dress. Do you remember his outburst on live TV years ago?
Hey, no, chill. I got it. Let me do this. Really, I'm gonna tell you one thing. People around the world, I'm gonna do one thing. You guy behind the mic right now, we're the guys here doing one thing. We have to go back to America.
Okay, that's kind of funny, but it's actually sad. Soon after he was checked into rehab for alcoholism. Another guy is Ron Artest. Unlike Draymond, he was officially diagnosed as a kid, but refused to take his medication. Ron almost blew up his career with the Malice at the Palace, but finally accepted help after Kobe confronted him.
This is not a place to come in and goof around or to act out or anything like that. I'm expecting you to be extremely sharp, be extremely crisp, and I won't have it another way.
And after winning a title, Ron is still the only player to thank his doctor on live TV.
I definitely want to thank my doctor, Dr. Cindy, my psychiatrist.
Shout out to Dr. Cindy. But it's not always a happy ending. There was a player named Ben Gordon who won 6th Man of the Year in '05, but after retirement, it got really dark, and this is disturbing. I took one of those heavyweight jump ropes, tied it around my neck, and that's when I had this thought out of the blue. Yo, BG, you don't want to die. You don't really want to kill yourself. You want to kill this anxiety. Man. But he still didn't get help. It took getting arrested 4 times in 5 months and hearing voices. And Ben is still in and out of prison. So is Shaq saying Draymond is not like those guys? If so, that would mean he is hijacking the very serious mental health issue just to get out of trouble. He wouldn't do that, and the Warriors are just going along with it. I mean, listen to what Steve Kerr just said.
He knows he needs help, and he's going to get the help, and we're gonna help him with it. But we're also not qualified to offer some of the things that he needs.
That's right, they're not qualified. Kerr may not say mental illness, but that's obviously what he's implying. But I'm sure Shaq would say, oh, how convenient. You look the other way for the dynasty years, now you're losing and it's mental health. But joke's on you, Shaq. His disturbing behavior actually just started.
The one who choked Rudy, took a wild flail at Yusuf, the one who punched Jordan, that's the guy who has to change. Everything before that, over a decade of play, what are we really talking about, right? We're talking about, getting ejected for yelling at the ref or throwing a ball.
See? It was all just yelling at refs and throwing balls, Shaq. Like in 2016, when Dre got Steven Adams in the groin in back-to-back playoff games, or swiped at LeBron James, or got in fights with Bradley Beal and Tristan Thompson. All that was normal. They had no idea he needed professional help then. It's a coincidence that the signs became obvious once they started losing. It all just started, but it's too bad that Steve Kerr couldn't recognize the signs when he punched Jordan Poole. The Dubs were allowed to discipline Dre themselves. They landed on a 0-game suspension. In fact, they rewarded Draymond with a $100 million contract and traded Jordan Poole. Tragically, that seems to have made his illness even worse. But don't blame them. The problems had just started, because nothing before that even counts. But it does make you wonder if Draymond had played in the days of the enforcer. He would have been just another physical Lambeer who slammed Michael Jordan on the ground too. But the NBA noticed fans like to see Michael in the air and not on the floor, so they changed some rules. They did away with the hand check and made certain defenses illegal, but it created a new version of enforcers who had to disguise what they were doing. One of the best examples is Draymond's old teammate Zaza Pachulia. Zaza was the 7-foot Urkel of the NBA.
Did I do that?
So Zaza accidentally kicked Danny Green in the face, tripped Udonis Haslem, fell on Russell Westbrook. Oh, oops, did I do that? But he went too far when he undercut Kawhi in the 2016 playoffs. It caused the injury that led him to leave San Antonio. And at the time, Pop was pissed.
It's dangerous, it's unsportsmanlike, and this particular individual has a history with that kind of action.
A history. But he didn't call him crazy. He called him an a-hole. Well, thank goodness we have made progress. I think we may be able to convince Shaq that Dre has some issue, like anger management, but some people will just never see. He's not an entitled a-hole that's been enabled for years. He's actually sick and needs our thoughts and prayers. But the Dubs are in trouble because Draymond is very important to them on the court. One thing to save them could be a big trade, and Shams says 4 big names are on the market. One of them could land in Golden State.